Once upon a time, in the ancient city of Stagira in northern Greece, there was born a man who would go on to become one of the most influential thinkers in the history of the world. This man was Aristotle, and from a young age he showed a natural curiosity and love of learning that would shape his entire life. He studied under some of the greatest philosophers of his time, including Plato, and went on to make significant contributions to a wide range of fields, including philosophy, science, politics, and literature. His ideas and theories have stood the test of time and continue to be studied and debated by scholars around the world. So come along with me, dear viewer, and let's take a journey through the life and ideas of this great thinker as we explore the legacy of Aristotle. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher who lived over 2,000 years ago, but his ideas and contributions continue to shape our understanding of the world today. He is considered one of the greatest thinkers in history, and his work has had a profound impact on fields ranging from ethics and politics to biology and physics. In this video, we'll explore the life and philosophy of Aristotle and examine why his ideas remain relevant to this day. Aristotle was born in the city of Stagira in northern Greece in 384 BCE. His father, Nicomachus, was a court physician to the king of Macedon, and Aristotle was exposed to medicine and biology from a young age. When he was 17 years old, he moved to Athens to study at Plato's Academy, one of the most prestigious schools of philosophy in the ancient world. Aristotle studied under Plato for nearly 20 years, but the two thinkers had very different ideas about the nature of reality and the role of philosophy. After Plato's death in 347 BCE, Aristotle left Athens and traveled to the court of the Macedonian king, Philip II. There, he tutored the young prince Alexander, who would later become Alexander the Great. Aristotle and Alexander had a close relationship, and Aristotle's teachings had a profound influence on Alexander's worldview and military strategy. After Alexander's death in 323 BCE, Aristotle returned to Athens and founded his own school of philosophy, the Lyceum. The Lyceum was a place for advanced study and research, and it became one of the most important centers of learning in the ancient world. Aristotle spent the rest of his life teaching, writing, and conducting research at the Lyceum. He died in 322 BCE at the age of 62. Aristotle and Plato are two of the most important philosophers in Western history, and their relationship has been the subject of much study and debate over the years. Aristotle was a student of Plato, and their relationship had a profound influence on Aristotle's philosophical ideas, particularly in the area of epistemology, or the study of knowledge. Plato believed that knowledge was innate, and that we are born with the ability to understand abstract concepts such as truth, beauty, and justice. He argued that these concepts exist in a realm of pure forms, which are perfect, eternal, and unchanging. Plato believed that the task of the philosopher was to uncover these forms through reason and reflection. Aristotle, on the other hand, rejected Plato's idea of innate knowledge and argued that all knowledge comes from sensory experience. He believed that the mind is a blank slate at birth, and that we acquire knowledge through observation, perception, and memory. Aristotle also rejected the idea of forms, arguing that the properties and characteristics of things exist in the things themselves, rather than in a separate realm of abstraction. Despite these differences, Aristotle was deeply influenced by Plato's ideas, particularly in the area of metaphysics. Like Plato, Aristotle believed in the existence of a first cause, or unmoved mover, that set the universe in motion. He also believed in the idea of teleology, or the belief that everything in nature has a purpose or function. Aristotle's rejection of Plato's idea of innate knowledge was also influenced by his observation of the natural world. He believed that all living things have an innate tendency to grow and develop, and that this growth is directed towards a particular end or purpose. This idea of natural growth and development influenced his theory of causation, which he saw as a chain of causes and effects that are directed towards a particular end. Overall, while Aristotle rejected some of Plato's most fundamental ideas, his relationship with his teacher had a profound influence on his own philosophical ideas, particularly in the areas of metaphysics and epistemology. By building on and expanding upon Plato's ideas, Aristotle helped to lay the foundations for much of Western philosophy and science. Aristotle's theory of knowledge and epistemology was grounded in the idea that knowledge comes from experience and observation of the natural world. He believed that everything can be understood through empirical study, and that knowledge is built up over time through the accumulation of observations and experiences. He argued that there are two primary sources of knowledge: sensation and reason. Sensation is the basis of empirical knowledge, and it involves the perception of sensory information through the five senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. Aristotle believed that sensory information provides the raw materials for knowledge, but that it is not enough on its own. Reason, on the other hand, is the faculty that allows us to organize and make sense of our sensory experiences. Reason enables us to identify patterns, make generalizations, and draw conclusions based on our observations. Aristotle also believed that there are different levels of knowledge, ranging from the most basic and concrete to the most abstract and theoretical. He classified knowledge into 4 categories: sense perception, memory, experience, and art or science. Sense perception is the most basic form of knowledge, and it involves the direct observation of sensory information. Memory involves retaining sensory information over time. Experience is built up over time through the accumulation of observations and memories. Art or science is the most advanced form of knowledge, and it involves the systematic organization of experience and the application of reason to abstract concepts. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This quote highlights Aristotle's belief that the key to achieving excellence is through consistent, habitual practice. According to Aristotle, we become what we repeatedly do, and by developing good habits, we can cultivate excellence in all areas of our lives. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This quote emphasizes the importance of understanding systems and relationships, rather than just focusing on individual parts. According to Aristotle, when we look at things in isolation, we miss the bigger picture of how they fit together and interact with one another. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. This quote highlights the importance of finding enjoyment and satisfaction in one's work. According to Aristotle, when we take pleasure in what we do, we are more likely to do it well and achieve excellence. All human beings, by nature, desire to know. This quote emphasizes Aristotle's belief that the pursuit of knowledge is a fundamental human drive. According to Aristotle, we are inherently curious and seek to understand the world around us through observation and inquiry. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. This quote emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and open-mindedness. According to Aristotle, an educated person is able to consider different ideas and perspectives without immediately accepting or rejecting them. Happiness depends upon ourselves. This quote highlights Aristotle's belief that happiness is a state of mind that we can control. According to Aristotle, we can cultivate happiness through our thoughts, actions, and choices. Friendship is a single soul dwelling in 2 bodies. This quote emphasizes the importance of friendship and the deep connection that can exist between 2 people. According to Aristotle, true friendship involves a sense of unity and shared identity between individuals. Man is a political animal. This quote emphasizes Aristotle's belief that human beings are social creatures who thrive in communities and societies. According to Aristotle, we are naturally drawn to politics and the organization of society, and our individual well-being is closely tied to the well-being of the larger community. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival. This quote emphasizes Aristotle's belief that the purpose of life is not simply to survive, but to engage in thoughtful contemplation and self-awareness. According to Aristotle, true fulfillment comes from understanding ourselves and the world around us, rather than just trying to survive and get by. Overall, Aristotle's quotes reflect his deep insights into human nature, philosophy, and society, and his ideas continue to inspire and challenge us today. Although Aristotle's works about knowledge and epistemology continue to shape our understanding of the world today, there were still critics who felt some of his ideas and applications were flawed. In this phase of video, we'll be exploring some criticisms of Aristotle's works. Lack of systematic method. One of the most common criticisms of Aristotle's work is that he did not have a systematic method for organizing his ideas. Unlike his teacher Plato, who wrote his philosophical ideas in the form of dialogues, Aristotle wrote his works in a more discursive style, which can make it difficult to discern a clear structure or organization to his ideas. Emphasis in empirical observation. While Aristotle's emphasis on empirical observation and experience was a major advance in his time, some critics argued he placed a lot of emphasis on affecting abstract ideas. For example, some argue that his ideas about causation and teleology were based more on intuition than on rigorous analysis. Naturalistic fallacy. Another criticism of Aristotle's work is his use of the naturalistic fallacy, which is the idea that what is natural is good or desirable. This fallacy assumes that there is a natural order or hierarchy to the universe, and that certain things or behaviors are inherently good or bad based on their place in this order. Critics argue that this idea is arbitrary and not supported by empirical evidence. Patriarchal views. Aristotle's views on women and their place in society have also been criticized as patriarchal and sexist. He believed that women were inferior to men both intellectually and morally, and that their role in society was primarily that of childbearing and domestic labor. These views have been challenged by feminist critics who argue that Aristotle's ideas about gender are not supported by empirical evidence, and are based on social biases and stereotypes. Limited scientific understanding. While Aristotle's ideas about science and the natural world were groundbreaking in his time, they were also limited by the scientific understanding of the time. For example, Aristotle believed in the geocentric model of the universe, which placed the Earth at the center of the cosmos, and he believed that all matter was made up of four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. These ideas have since been superseded by modern scientific discoveries and theories. Despite these criticisms, Aristotle's ideas and contributions have had a profound impact on Western philosophy and science, and his work continues to be studied and debated to this day. After a long and illustrious career as a philosopher, scientist, and teacher, Aristotle eventually returned to his hometown of Stagira in northern Greece, where he spent his final years. Despite his many contributions, Aristotle's life was not without tragedy. He lost both his wife and son at a young age, and he was exiled from Athens after the death of his former student, Alexander the Great. Aristotle ultimately passed away in 322 BC at the age of 62. The exact cause of Aristotle's death is not known, but there are a number of theories. Some accounts suggest that he may have died of natural causes, while others speculate that he may have been poisoned by political enemies or succumbed to an illness. Regardless of the cause of his death, Aristotle's legacy as one of the most important thinkers in history lives on to this day. After his death, Aristotle's works were collected and preserved by his students and followers, and his ideas continued to be studied and debated throughout the centuries. His influence can be seen in a wide range of fields, including philosophy, science, politics, and literature. In addition to his intellectual legacy, Aristotle also had a personal legacy, as he was the teacher of one of history's most famous leaders, Alexander the Great. It is said that Aristotle played a major role in shaping Alexander's worldview and encouraging his love of learning and culture. Today, Aristotle is remembered as one of the greatest minds in Western history, and his ideas continue to shape our understanding of the world around us. His works, such as the Nicomachean Ethics, the Politics, and the Organon, continue to be studied and debated by philosophers and scholars around the world. His legacy as a teacher and mentor lives on in the millions of students who have been influenced by his ideas over the centuries.